the antidote to overwhelm is gratitude. You physiologically can't feel those two things at the same time. And so I am a fan. I have just on my iPhone just a note every morning. I really write in detail. Here's the hack, not just I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my house. You got to be a little detailed with 3 quick gratitudes. If you have a crazy day, go back, read over it. It won't fix the whole day, but it'll ground you a little bit. But gratitude is literally the antidote for overwhelm. And the picture is a rowboat in the middle of water. There's a storm, and there's water just coming over the rim of the rowboat. That rim of the rowboat is actually called the whelm. And so we're taking on a little too much water over the whelm, overwhelmed. So that's just a visual that it's going to feel heavy pressure, but sometimes it's just that last thing. And lately, I've just had a little too much on my plate. I'm already all in building the next company, but that's what I signed up for. People are counting on me. So just picture that rowboat. It might feel like something big, but it could be just that last little thing in that was a little too much. Gratitude is the antidote to overwhelm.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the Leadership Exchange podcast. My name's Tracy. You can follow me on LinkedIn at Tracy S. Lee or on X at Lady Lee. I'm so excited to be here today. Wanted to introduce you to one of my friends and fellow entrepreneurs, Charlie. Charlie, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Tracy, thanks. Excited to be on. I've listened to some of your episodes. I know you and I talk business, entrepreneurship, tech, and a little bourbon too. So it's going to be a fun talk.
Yes. It's so much fun. Charlie and I met because our mutual friend, Angela, it was like, wow, you guys are really into bourbon. I think you need to know Charlie. So, but then it's so amazing, Charlie, how many sort of like, crossovers in our life, both being in Atlanta, that we have. So if you do want to know about bourbon, Charlie is definitely the person to know. He has an extensive collection.
That's my midlife crisis, right? I bought a lot of bourbon and rye instead of a convertible. So let me know.
Yeah, it is pretty fabulous. So anyways, Charlie, you are the co-founder CEO of Schema.ai. And that's a SKEMA.ai for anybody listening.
Yeah, thank you. That's my current venture with my co-founders. It's an AI tool for architects and real estate developers. It's a fast forward button. Our software learns from your previous building design files just sitting on a server. And some of my co-founders actually helped build the most popular tool in our industry, Revit, which really shifted architects from 2D CAD to 3D. So we're having a lot of fun. I've got a background in green buildings, construction, but right now it's building an AI tool for architects and real estate developers.
I love that. What made you decide to sort of go into the AI space and sort of this cross between?
Well, a little over, almost 18 years in green buildings after Georgia Tech, construction, real estate, and then green buildings. And I just knew I wanted to shift to technology, but I knew I couldn't run off and start a restaurant or something, and start that kind of business. It's got to stay around buildings. And I'm like, okay, what's the next thing around buildings where I've built up a subject matter expertise? Came across some great co-founders, actually some technology that had been started, and we pulled off some miracles to put it all together and bring Schema to market.
I love that. Well, amazing. So speaking of which, I mean, you've been building green businesses for quite some time, it seems. Any tips?
So there's green buildings, but there's also green business. And I think some maybe of your listeners that are really into sustainability, even if it's just driving an electric car, driving a hybrid, recycling, composting, hopefully eating organic. There's so much more. LED lights right at your homes. Don't forget, if you have employees and you have a hybrid workforce, it's one thing to green up your office that people might come to, even if it's a co-working space. Don't forget, green up where they're spending a lot of time. I'm at a stand-up desk right now, right? I've got a window here. I've got some plants. Educate your employees about even just the air fresheners, the candles, the air quality at home might not be as good as the air quality in a commercial building. It's different systems. So just a little education to your employees, because now we kind of have 2 offices. So that's one way you could green up your business, is just make sure it's not just a wellness kind of focused place to work, that extension to home, but also just with business. the first place to start is what's our impact on the environment? Even if you're a small business, you might have servers, you might have some travel, what is our impact? And just try to quantify it. And then as a group, be like, well, where would we want to start? Where might we want to lower our impact on the environment?
Hmm. I love that. I actually, some of the points you just brought up right now, I would have never thought about, like this idea of, what's my air quality? So when you said candles, were you pro candles or not pro
Let's
candles?
just say my wife likes a lot of candles, and but you got to ask yourself, hey, are these real synthetic? And look at the ingredients almost
Right.
versus, could they be more plant-based, soy-based, and
Mm.
just even though it smells good, there's some VOCs in there, volatile organic
Yes.
compounds. So just you take a look at just what's in and around. You can kind of do a little bit of an audit, a little sustainability audit. Hey, I'm spending a lot of time at my home office. That's where I'm recording what's around me here.
Hmm.
But I would definitely don't forget the cleaners you're using and any air fresheners or candles. Like seriously, take a look.
Mm. That's so interesting. My husband actually, because I do love candles, I love incense, but my husband is all about measuring. I can't remember what sensors I think it's like air sensors, right? And so we do. It's so funny because I have little kids, and when the VOCs are super high, somebody pooped right in their diaper. Like at night, right?
Yeah, that's
But it's the same thing, right? He's like, wow, the VOCs are really high in your room. Like, make sure to open a window. Or, he actually doesn't like it when we burn candles because it really impacts the VOCs. And so, you think it makes the air smell great and everything like that, but how is that actually impacting the air quality in the room?
Yeah, that's right. So I
Yeah.
did that for a long time, but we did it for buildings. Some of your listeners probably walk into a building, you see this big plaque. It says LEED, LEED. That means that building's been stamped as a green building. They
Hmm.
designed and built it green, or if it's like an existing building, we did a lot of work in Manhattan. You know what? You can operate green. So green cleaning, green pest control, recycling, better air quality. Sure, save energy, save water. A lot of things you can do to make a building more eco-friendly. We worked with a program called LEED. I mean, I still do, and that's how you get your building that plaque, that certification, and that really
Hmm.
helps. With green business, I think it's important. While the federal government may ebb and flow with green policy, there's so many states, so many cities, and so many corporates that just say, "Hey, we're going to do sustainability because it's important to us." And so there's cities like Atlanta that have some laws that you have to benchmark your building and save some energy, or you get fines.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Well, thank you for that. And again, I love that you sort of have jumped into AI at the best time. So, what are some of the AI predictions that you have?
Yeah, we're building a tool that can help designers, so architects first, but later contractors. When I got out of Georgia Tech, I had to have the prints, the blueprints, and I was doing takeoffs with a scroll wheel, counting things. Architects spend so much time laying out rooms. Contractors spend so much time counting things. Let's start there, right? And so that's what we're doing with our tool is we're solving the best layouts. We're using your previous best practices, but we're going to work with contractors and building product manufacturers too. So a little prediction around our tool, and then maybe just general AI is we really, because some of my co-founders are architects. I'm
Mhm.
more construction. I come out of Georgia Tech, and then a green building consultant. We're not trying to kill the architect, right? So we're just like, hey, let architects be creative. Let architects really problem solve. Listen to the client. What's really needed on this next commercial building or maybe a custom home? I compare it real quick to one of my fraternity brothers at Georgia Tech, Levi. I went my construction route. He went to Chicago to work for a big architect, and I thought that was cool. But he said, Charlie, for 2 years I had to detail stair drawings before I did anything cool as an architect. And I'm like, oh man, that sounds terrible. So our software schema, we can easily automate the stair details, right? Let
Mhm.
that young professional fight up a weight class or two. So that's where we're leaning in hard. Number one, with our tool, with its morphing, its building solvers, and some of our AI. So I think that's just a place to be. With data, we've taken another hard stance at Schema. Instead of training a large data lake, we really protect our customer data. So when you have your login, let's say you're an architecture firm here in Atlanta, one of our clients is TVS Design, 200 architects. Our software is learning from their previous designs, but we keep that within their login. We're not letting that train what others, competitors can use. And they really value that. We don't know right now, right, Tracy, if you go to ChatGPT and DALL-E and say, hey, render this new office building or this hotel in Frank Gehry style, famous architect. One day, will we have to pay a royalty to their family? I mean, we don't know yet. So we're trying to say, hey, let's protect your data, but you can use it within your login here. So I think those are some predictions we've doubled down on. Let's make sure we're leveling up frontline workers, like some West Coast VCs have thesis around, and those production team members earlier in their careers, lower wages early in their careers. And then here's our stance on data.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love that. Like it's funny because you're talking about, helping architects and designers in that space. And, a lot of the things that you say are, I mean, this thought we're a software consultancy, right? And so we have the same situation where, we are using AI tools like Cursor, Windsurf, Code, etc., to work on our client projects. Obviously, everybody has different restrictions on which tool you can use, security, et cetera, who has licenses. But that being said, anybody who's using AI tools is definitely experiencing the same thing across industries, right? Like the security, the sort of like IP and things like that. I think thankfully in the developer tooling space, a lot of these things have sort of been figured out. So, one big concern is obviously your IP leaking out, but most of these tools now, like Cursor, for example, have sort of solved that problem. It's actually difficult to let your data leak out because it's such a concern, right? Like it's such a big concern for, the adoption of those tools.
It's so important. I think with AI, with any kind of customer, they want to be tech enabled. They want to be AI enabled. I know that's a big part of what your company does, but even for anyone listening, even if you're not AI, just if you're a software company or tech startup, just remember that's what you're actually providing is you're helping that customer go brag to their peers at the next conference. Hey, we're much more tech enabled now. We made our bet on some AI tools and it includes this. And so I think that's what they really want, right? To be tech enabled, AI enabled. And I think a lot of customers still scrambling, in all kinds of industries, but also in our industry,
Yeah.
design and construction of commercial buildings. And so we're early in it. Our software is very mature for where we're at, but we're doing a lot of tests right now with some paying customers for data centers, hotels, hospitals, K through 12 school. We're seeing where our tool can really help.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, there is, again, so much innovation to happen. Everybody's so afraid of getting their jobs taken away. So I like the way you're talking about it too. You're talking about how you're enabling the sort of early career folks to not have to do the sort of like mundane task work, if you will, right? It's kind of again, you see similarities across all industries, whether it's legal, whether it's like software engineering. So I love that. And Charlie, this is your second successful startup, is that right? Second successful company?
Yeah, my wife's going to kill me if I start another business. So I think
You're done.
I'm still in the come up, as they say. But maybe one more thing on just AI, and then I'll
Of
talk
course.
about some other ventures. Is even our tool, which we're very proud of, while it can definitely get rid of and automate a lot of busy work, it also could help an architect win work. If all of a sudden there's a new RFP and the architect actually designed most of the building using our tools super fast, and it's really, that client might be like, holy cow, they almost designed the whole building. They really want this work. So don't forget to maybe let it help you win business too. So not just really automate some things once you've won some new work, but maybe you can use it to win business too. And that's where you iterate, you come out with a lot more ideas early. If an architect normally would have 2 or 3 layouts for this new construction site, maybe now they could have 50 and it's quick to whittle it down. And so just help, use AI to win work too. So Georgia Tech, construction, real estate, but green buildings, built up SIG, or Green Building Consulting and Engineering firm. got that to over 50 people all over the country. And then our e-learning company, which actually I bought with an SBA loan, me and my partners, same industry, but we helped 170,000 people, Tracy, all over the world pass their credential exams, get letters after their name, do continuing ed. I know buildings, but I had to learn AdWords and, hey, what are people typing into Google and pay-per-click? I had to learn e-commerce. Same industry, green buildings. Did that for a long time. We sold those two companies at the beginning of last year to a great global strategic that wanted a better answer in the Americas for sustainability consulting and education. Kind of during that time, I did co-found Atos, which is a Georgia Tech ATDC company here in Atlanta. They've got some great venture backing. Connor and Pat run that company day to day. And that's kind of where we almost make a video game of your actual commercial building. It's a reality capture using 3D cameras and drones. And the team there has built out that software from scratch. It's really getting used by Southern Company and some other really, really great clients. So I'm not involved with that business day to day. Proud to have co-founded it. I'm all in on Schema. I might have a little Bourbon side hustle, you know about that. But Schema is my top priority, as well as just kind of still helping with the green building companies that I handed off. Those are my babies, my first companies I ever built. And I just want to make sure they're in good hands.
We'll be back to the episode in a second, but first, I'd like to acknowledge the team behind the channel, This.Labs. We're seeing 3x to 5x productivity improvements with our teams and clients using tools like Cursor, Claude Code, and GitHub Copilot. We help teams adopt these technologies and get max value out of them through strategic partnerships, trainings, and other software engineering services. Check us out at ai.this.co. Thanks, now back to the video.
Yeah, I love that. And so, how did you co-found so many companies? Like, what was the, going from the first one and then, going to Atos and then now Schema, like, what was the path? Because I think a lot of people would love to follow that path.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful story, but it's a hell of a lot of hard work too. The first one, my mom's from Oregon, my dad's from New York. He was quite a hippie, went to Woodstock '69, and so I love the outdoors and I had an appreciation for the environment. But I really needed a job in 2008. 2008 January, I was working at this $2.2 billion real estate company, family-owned, Opus, and the recession was setting in. It was hard on construction and architecture teams. So January 2008. My wife, Latrice, and I buy our first house together here in Tucker, outside of Atlanta.
Hopefully, then, at the right time.
Yeah, it was actually a great time to buy.
Great.
We just bought it, and then next thing you know, we had Blake, our oldest son, who just turned 17. Holy cow! And then November, I got laid off with almost 2,000 other people on a wave. But I always want to be an entrepreneur. I just needed that kick in the butt to go ahead and do it. So me, my wife, and another business partner started our first company, SIG. We knew construction would never be the same, so we went on green buildings, green construction, education, and consulting. So out of necessity, but I always want to be an entrepreneur. I had some entrepreneurial, very small business parents. And then just as we had some success at the consulting firm and we're making profit, it was really hard to break through 25 people. I don't know what it is for other people and your listeners.
Was it a specific revenue number for you too at the 25?
I would say not even revenue, just after 25 people, in my opinion, a small but growing business in a hot industry like green buildings, and ESG and decarbonization. I think after that size, you definitely need a dedicated head of people and culture and hiring. You might need some more IT support. You really need a head of finance if you don't have that yet. So I think you got to be able to afford truly some operational kind of executive staff, and everyone was wearing a lot of hats. We're just mission-driven company trying to do good for the environment. Got some amazing clients. 200 buildings in New York City, and clients all over the country. PNC Bank, Morgan Stanley, big developers, Hines, like Atlantic Station, stadiums. And so I think we're just trying to figure out how to build a business. I was pretty much one of the oldest in the whole company, and we're just trying to figure it out. But we're doing this good work, and we got pretty good at it. We're making really good profit and EBITDA. And so that's when I decided to buy the e-learning company from friends of mine. And then a little bit later, I created a holding company. And then I hired an amazing rock star executive assistant, Jackie. You've interacted with Jackie. And Then I had a couple team members kind of at the holding company, and we had these business units. And so I was the group CEO of some small businesses. So I guess to answer your question, which I'm glad you asked, I almost pretended like I was this really big holding company, and we have companies under it, but we're small. We're small businesses. But early on, we just had shared resources. If I brought in a coach or consultant for leadership training, we'd do it as a bigger group. And so we would come together as Green Building Holdings, GBH, even though we had the consulting engineering firm that did different work than the e-learning company that did different work than the waste and recycling audit business we have. And so some would say that's crazy, but it kind of worked with me. And we did sell 2 business units to the global strategic, kept some, and then I just doubled down on tech as the next chapter in my career. Schema is separate. Schema is a Delaware C Corp. We have investors, we have shareholders. We're in the middle of our raise right now, and we're just building up the company. We've got about 20 people in the company right now.
Nice. I love that. I never thought to sort of do the holding company pattern, but that's definitely interesting.
Yeah, not just for the tax benefits, but like truly have a couple team members and some centralized resources that can feed into some different business units. No, don't get me wrong. A lesson learned would be there was only one of me. So I'm talking about the green building companies. Sometimes I'm not saying this. Someone told me this. They're kind of fighting over daddy. Is hey, where's Charlie's attention, right? But what happened is eventually we grew leaders from within. I spent a lot of money every year, about $250,000 on coaches, consultants, masterminds for my leadership team or young professionals. And then eventually it's like, okay, it's clear. This person, Nick, runs the consulting firm. Okay, Dean over here runs the e-learning company. And they, of course, work with Charlie. So we did that for a while. It allowed me to put some money into our next technology venture. And now that's what I'm focused on.
Nice. I love that. I love that so much. So that probably sounds overwhelming to a lot of people. It sounds fun to me. Sounds like the best idea ever, to be honest.
Bourbon and hey, who better to do that than us?
Yeah. But how do you deal with that? I mean, how do you did you feel overwhelmed? Doing so many things. I mean, sounds like you were running 3 different business units, right? At one point in time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before we even got to the technology. That's right. And overwhelm. It's we all feel it. Even if you're at home or work, we're just in a busy world these days. So, a couple of things with overwhelm. The antidote to overwhelm is gratitude. You physiologically can't feel those 2 things at the same time. And so I am a fan. I have just on my iPhone just a note every morning. I really write in detail. Here's the hack. Not just, I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my house. You got to be a little detailed with 3 quick gratitudes. If you have a crazy day, go back, read over it. It won't fix the whole day, but it'll ground you a little bit. But gratitude is literally the antidote for overwhelm. At my church, it was about 5 years ago, there's a really good sermon about the word overwhelm. And the picture is a rowboat in the middle of some water. There's a storm, and there's water just coming over the rim of the rowboat. That rim of the rowboat is actually called the whelm. And so we're taking on a little too much. We're taking on a little too much water over the whelm. Overwhelm. So that's just a visual that it's going to feel heavy pressure. But sometimes it's just that last thing in. And lately, I've just had a little too much on my plate. I'm already all in building the next company. But that's what I signed up for. People are counting on me. So just picture that rowboat. It might feel like something big, but it could be just that last little thing in that was a little too much. Gratitude is the antidote to overwhelm.
I love that so much. That reminds me, a few years ago, somebody bought me this, it's called a 5-minute journal. Have you ever heard of that? Where, you just kind of, it's the same thing, right? Like journaling, like you're grateful for, or you want to work on. I can't remember exactly because I haven't done it in a while. But I mean, you're totally right. And I think, that's why I think, in talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, the ones who have been through things, are just so appreciative of where they are. And so I think I never thought about those two being opposite, right? Like you're overwhelmed or you're grateful, and you can't be two at the same time. Um, but yeah, if you just take a step back and just say like, wow, I'm just really thankful for
Yeah, just
the
look for those little
opportunities.
wins. I mean, you might have the worst day, worst week ever. I'm a big fan of the highlight reel.
Hmm.
Sometimes my wife might be like, "Hey, the sky's falling." Worst. I mean, she's great. She's super positive. But the year's over. I'm like, well, no, look, we just went to Disney and hit Tron. We did the premiere pass. And like that was just last month. And so I'm a big fan of tomorrow's a new day. Hit the reset button. It's not all going to be perfect, but just each day you get a little reset. Highlight reel of your year, right?
Hmm.
Hopefully, not everybody has this. There's health conditions, all kinds of stuff, but highlight reel net. I hope all in all, there's a lot more positive than negative. In the moment, in the day, in the week, it might feel like the end of the world, but I zoom out, highlight reel, go through some pictures. Just oh man, that's right. We went to Prague this year. I'd go back tomorrow. It's a beautiful city. Went there for a conference. So just zoom out, highlight reel. That's a different way to get to some gratitude.
Yes, yes, I love that so much. So talking about sort of the patterns you see, right? I mean, again, I love this idea, and I'm definitely talking to my husband tonight about, and I'll probably ping you again on, okay, how do you do these holding company things? Because I don't know, one of my Rob, one of my team members has, we've been working together for over 7 years now. He's like, Tracy, did you know you probably have ADHD? And I'm like, it works for me though. You make it, I mean, for me, I like to have 10 million things going on. I like having new ideas and, sort of like new energy entering my life, right? And creating. I love creating. Maybe that's just like the entrepreneurial type, you know.
It is. Here's my new definition of entrepreneurship. Early this year, I heard it, tweaked it a little. Entrepreneurs need to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But that's the sort of I don't know if it's I think everybody pulls from life on different things, right? Like it's Isaac, one of the co-founders of NPM, for example, he was talking about how he just took a step back and at 1 year, and and that's kind of how he co-founded NPM, because he was just trying to find something. But I feel like, and just like you, right? Like you're talking about, well, I didn't really have the decision, but here I am, and I decided to start something new. So I think it's like points in which you have situations that could be considered negative. You can turn those around into positive things for your life, and things that basically become
yeah,
life changing.
you're right.
Yeah. And again, you've run so many businesses, you've run them together. So what are some of the patterns you see? Like, for example, a lot of people can't, they need to keep an eye on one thing because they need to know when that one thing is going to just sort of like slip and fall away, right? So like, how do you keep all of that in your mind and run businesses in tandem with each other?
Yes, and number one is as a leader, um, especially as an entrepreneur, you have to be coachable.
Hmm.
I'm a fan of coaches, consultants. I'm in some mastermind groups. Like building a tech startup right now, man, it's hard work. It's totally different than building my small businesses over 16 years, and that's different, right? So just you have to remain coachable. So I say that's the number one for anybody in doing this. A couple things with structuring and maybe people and hiring, engaging. We're mostly a virtual team. We did that during the pandemic. A lot of our green building team members moved to other states. You can do this work remotely, and we go to the buildings, we go to the clients. So a little harder to onboard, but make sure you spend the money to get the teams together. And so you've got to make sure you can get together, not just on client sites. I think with, you know, roles and responsibilities, just make sure everybody knows, like, what is that one number that you do control? You don't even have to call it a KPI, right? Business lingo. Just what's your number? And if you're hitting that number on a weekly basis, that actually comes up, and the company's probably going to be winning, right? That's your thing. If
Hmm.
if it's
When you
someone
say
calling,
number, do you mean like
the
revenue
KPI,
number
like
or?
Hey, if you're a proposal writer, this many a week going out.
Okay. Oh,
If
I
you're in
love
charge of
that.
AR, we need to have this kind of bank balance. They
Oh,
only
so
have
like
little
just
breathing room.
training your team to sort of be like, hey, what's the one number you sort of need to
What's your
hit?
one number?
I love that.
And it's a lot of times team members might have a lot they report in on, but if they truly have one number that they can influence within that function of the business, and if more often than not that number's being hit, well, then they have clarity. It's like, hey, that's my number one thing. Not like, hey, we're gonna go get 100,000 customers next year. That's harder for them to do individually, but that one leading indicator number maybe, or lagging
Mhm.
indicator. So I think that's important. Just clarity. I've just learned that team members, young and old, but especially young, ambitious professionals, they just want clarity. They want to work with other all stars. They want to be heard.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people think that they just want more promotion, more money. They just want to make sure that they have a seat at the table. If they have an idea, at least it'll be heard. If it's a not now thing, put it on a parking lot. We'll revisit it later. Just there's different ways, autonomy, flexibility. It's not just pay. And so those are some things that I've learned, building some businesses. I think with leadership though, um, I think it's important to make sure your team knows the difference between management and leadership, right? Management, efficiency, getting things done, scheduling, here's some tasks, and you got to manage people, manage the workflow, manage the resources. But leadership in one word is influence. I think you and I were talking ahead of time about John Maxwell, he's here in Atlanta, but, probably one of the foremost expert speakers, writers on leadership. And he has something called the 5 levels of leadership. And level one, you might have a young professional just now becoming a leader. Maybe they're managing an intern team or managing a small department, a new revenue stream, right? They're a little nervous, but I think it's important for them to know 5 levels of leadership, right? Level one is people follow you because they have to, right? The org chart says so. Level two is people follow you because they want to. Level three is people follow you because of what you've done for the company or the organization, maybe you're a nonprofit. Level four, people follow you because of what you've done for them. And really, level five is about qualities, and frankly, your leaders are creating other leaders. So there's these 5 levels of leadership. And I think people need to know, like, you can't rest on people follow me because the org chart says so. You got to get out of that level as fast as you can. In my opinion, it's okay to go between levels 2, 3, and 4. People follow you because they want to, because of what you've done for the company, or because of what you've done for them. And that might change depending on the person. And I just think that people need to study that and think about it. Hey, where's my relationship at with Tracy? What level of leadership am I at with her? And just think about it for a minute.
I love that. That is definitely a super interesting. We've looked at the gosh, it's this matrix of when you teach people, right? It's sort of God, I can't remember what it is, but like autonomous, right? Like you're autonomous, or like you need help and you're sort of like they're watching, and so sort of like in terms of how we train our leaders. But I love this idea of sort of, because I think the 5 levels of the leadership that you're talking about, it inherently asks people to be more self introspective on their relationships, how they're approaching people, things like that, which I think some people, I mean, we've all seen it, right? Like we've all seen people stuck in the whole, like, well, I'm your manager, so you should be listening to me type situation. But that really allows people and forces people to sort of like reflect on those types of
Yeah,
things.
you need that self awareness, but it's at the end of the day, it's just people,
Yeah.
clarity, and one more is ask questions.
Hmm.
I've worked with a coach for 5 years now, Kyle. He's world class, and he literally teaches inquiry method. He teaches how to ask the best questions, because any situation, it's just about asking the right questions. It really is.
Hmm. Hmm. That's amazing. Well, amazing. So what other last tips do you have for us?
Hopefully everybody here just go around your house or your office and just if you have questions, reach out. Just how could you maybe go a little bit greener with where you're spending a lot of time? The EPA says, kind of depressing, we spend 90% of our lives indoors, right? So if you think about it, so we gotta just do some little things. Think about the air quality, change out some lights to LED, recycle, compost, just be conscious about it. So I would challenge everybody, just do that. It's okay. It's not like you have to do everything. Just do a little better. With technology, check out what we're building at Schema.ai. Connect with me on LinkedIn if you need anything, if you want to talk leadership. But I think we should end on some bourbon. And
yes, we should.
It's just about it's community, right? It's I trade with people in and around Atlanta. And you never know who you're going to meet, and then you go up to Kentucky, and even though technically, right, bourbon doesn't have to be in Kentucky. Sure, like 92% of all bourbon is still coming out of Kentucky, but I love the history. These barrels have been aged for 12 years, 15 years. You have your angel share. Most of it's evaporated. But to me, it's cool to have a collection you can share. You can celebrate with people. You can almost pre-buy gifts. Someone had a life moment, give them a nice bottle or something, but also just the community. So that's how I justify it. And we do even like some paid tastings and stuff for some unicorn bottles, but we're having fun with it.
What's your what's the newsletter link or
thanks.
website?
We did start a bourbon newsletter. Thank you. Great marketer there, Tracy. rickhouse.news. A couple months in, it's fun. Sign up.
That's a great domain.
rickhouse.news. And then my green building newsletter is greenbuilding.news. That would be great.
Your wife really tried to knock it in the shot.
Well, that's actually Jackie, my rock star executive assistant. So,
that's right. Because I know what your wife looks like, and I was like, wait, hold on. That's not right.
Got too many women in his life.
So that's Jackie, my rock star executive assistant. To your listeners, we work, remotely. Jackie's been a family friend forever. My wife is here today, and we just, what we do is on Fridays, one of our hacks, Jackie comes by, we have like a 3-hour work session. Okay, who do we need to follow up with? Are there any EQ touches for team members that we need to shoot a quick message to? Okay, let's look at calendar next 2 weeks, travel. We just anyway, and we make a list and we get as far as we can on it. Sometimes we do the whole list, sometimes we don't. I'm like, hey, you good? She's like, yeah, I'm good. So just that Friday, if you have some support, like an executive assistant, just close out your week feeling like, okay, a lot of the loose things got handled. And those that didn't, I pick back up on a Monday morning from 8 to 10. That's my deep work time. Mark Twain said, eat the frog first thing in the morning. I like to do that kind of early in the week. Monday morning, 8 to 10, I kind of pick back up on whatever we didn't get to on a Friday.
I love that so much. What great tips. Okay, so I know people say, it's funny because I always ask people like, what's your favorite bourbon? And then you can really tell how into bourbon people are by the response. So do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I do. And I'm never going to judge anybody that puts bourbon on ice. Drink it how you want, or put a couple drops in it. I'm never going to judge anybody that loves just Weller Special Reserve Green Label. Hey, my first bourbon.
That's your favorite?
No, it's not. I'm just I'm building up to it. I'm never going to judge anybody that likes Woodford. My first was a Woodford Double Oaked, but no, today I do like higher proof stuff. So my top 3 bourbons, top 3 Ryes, we can end on that. Top 3 bourbons, Michter's 20, Jack 155.1 proof, small batch 2022, and then 13th Colony Double Oak from South Georgia. On the Ryes, Booker's Rye, and then 13th Colony Cask Strength Rye, 141 proof from South Georgia. And then I like my Whistle Pigs. So there's a Whistle Pig Boss Hog called Around the World. To your listeners, they might be like, Charlie, some of those are unicorns, but those are my best pours ever. Those aren't my regular drinkers. But I do like just oaky, a lot of age, pretty good proof on it, neat, slow sip, and telling stories.
Yeah. Fortunately or unfortunately, Charlie did introduce me to Boss Hog. And once I did get introduced to Boss Hog, I had to go buy the Boss Hogs I could. So I have 3 Boss Hogs now, and I will be buying it's an annual release, so I will be buying the one that comes out. But it does hurt a little bit because it's like, oh my gosh, this is so expensive. But they are great pours. 13th Colony Double Oaked, is one of my favorites too. I really love the Rye 3 cigar series though.
Mhm.
So they have two of them that came out. The second one just came out. I prefer the first,
Okay.
but I do like the second as well. And that one is more affordable and, you know, well, I don't know how much it is. It's like somewhere between $60 to $80, I
Yeah.
think, or something like
You
that.
can get, if you want
You can get on the shelf.
$45, Eagle Rare 10, Heaven Hill 7, just ease into a bourbon. Not
Yeah.
everybody likes rye. Some ryes don't have to have that peppery rye. And
Yeah.
then, you don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds. I like cool store picks, or there's a lot of clubs, right? We're in these Facebook groups. Keep an
Yeah.
eye on River Roots. They're kind of one of my current favorites out of Cleveland. They're an NDP, a non-distiller producer, and they're buying cool barrels from Heaven Hill and Jim Beam and MGP, one of my favorite ryes, 95.5,
Yeah.
12, 13-year-old rye for $125. I mean, that's a $300-$400 value bottle, I think, for sharing it with friends.
Short barrel,
Short
short
barrel right
barrels.
here in Atlanta, yeah.
Short barrel is shockingly amazing. Like the cigar series is amazing. Is it the double oaked? Is that what it's called? The store
Yeah,
pick?
they have some
Is it
double oak. A lot of people
yeah.
like the sweeter bee's knees. I mean, they're putting out good
Yeah.
stuff too. And,
Yeah. So yeah, definitely check out Short Barrel. But anyways, Charlie, it was so amazing chatting with you. You all have Charlie's busy 24/7. He's traveling 24/7, so it's really great to just sort of sit down and get some insight and learn a little bit from you today. So definitely again check out Schema.ai. It's SKEMA.ai, or you can find Charlie as well on LinkedIn and all the other fun places. So
amazing. Tracy, thanks for being on the podcast. This was great.
thank you for joining us.